Peter Thiel built his fortune funding massive digital data mining software and artificial intelligence for defense contractors. So it stands out when a billionaire known for tracking digital data suddenly pours hundreds of millions of dollars into New Zealand dairy farming. We are watching a highly specific pivot. Capital is bypassing the traditional tech hubs and flowing directly out of server aisles and into the muddy paddocks of the physical world. This investment targets the core vulnerability in global food production. Silicon Valley has identified a specific inefficiency in the agricultural sector, and they are moving to patch it. The strategy is straightforward. The global agricultural supply chain is breaking down at the ground level. The firm that patches the physical bugs in this sector stands to capture the entire system. The immediate bottleneck is a severe shortage of people. Farms simply cannot find the skilled manual labor required to manage the sheer volume of livestock needed to meet current food demands. For centuries, moving and managing a herd has required intense physical human intervention. It takes teams of workers riding motorbikes and coordinating with trained dogs just to shift animals from one patch of grass to another. This legacy system has hit a hard logistical ceiling. Building, moving, and maintaining standard wire fences costs heavy amounts of time and capital, keeping farms locked into rigid layouts that are difficult to scale. You can't fix this by just trying to hire more farmhands because the people aren't there. The only way out is to replace that physical labor and those wooden fence posts with an invisible, automated infrastructure. This brings us to the technological intervention. Tech companies are outfitting livestock with AI-powered wearable smart collars. This diagram illustrates exactly how the process works. These collars operate as complex Internet of Things transceivers, which means they turn every single cow into a continuous data node. You can see the flow of information starting at the sensor device on the animal, traveling through a local data gathering tower, and uploading straight into a cloud database. While attached, the sensors pull constant biometrics from the animal. They track how often it ruminates, monitor its core temperature, and records its exact activity levels. That raw data feeds directly into predictive algorithms. By analyzing deviations in normal activity, the software flags subclinical diseases like mastitis, days before a human expert would notice symptoms in the paddock. A dashboard alert now does the work of an experienced farm manager. This continuous automated monitoring eliminates the reliance on inherited human intuition to track health problems or mating cycles. Tracking health is only half the equation. The other half is entirely eliminating the physical fence. This schematic shows the mechanics of virtual fencing. Instead of driving posts into the ground, a farmer opens a smartphone app and draws a digital boundary. That software talks to a GPS satellite, which then communicates with the collar to dictate exactly where the herd can graze in the real world. The collar enforces this boundary through a psychological training loop. As the cow approaches the invisible line, the device plays an audio warning. If the cow keeps walking forward, it triggers a vibration. If the animal ignores both cues, it receives a mild electric pulse. It takes about a week for a herd to completely learn this behavioral feedback loop. Once they recognize the audio cue, they turn around naturally, allowing the system to move the animals remotely and automatically. Operationally, this technology allows farms to execute highly precise rotational grazing at scale. A manager can shift an entire herd to a fresh pasture break from their kitchen table without putting on boots or starting a vehicle. By converting physical boundaries into digital coordinates, land management ceases to be a grueling manual labor task. It becomes an infinitely adjustable software application. This degree of control carries immediate environmental benefits. If a farm needs to keep stock out of a sensitive ecological zone or a local waterway, they simply drag a boundary line across a map, instantly protecting the area without building any permanent structures. Looking at this chart, you can clearly see the economic shift happening on these farms. We have a steep intersecting trend. The capital expenses of physical fencing and manual labor are rising and becoming increasingly scarce, while the cost of deploying a scalable, software-driven subscription model is dropping fast. Once a farm hits that specific economic crossover point, they are able to utilize their available pasture land while drastically reducing their operational headcount. The true value of this technology lies in the data-driven precision, using real-time behavioral data to map and increase the output of the physical landscape. Which brings us back to those tech investors pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into agriculture. As these collars scale across millions of animals, they generate a massive, centralized dataset. This creates a real-time map of caloric production and animal health that far exceeds any individual farmer's ability to observe. Whoever owns the algorithms and the data infrastructure controlling these herds essentially holds a layer of authority over the land itself. By owning the software that dictates where every animal moves and what it eats, these companies are building a digital gateway between the soil and the global market. The next phase of artificial intelligence is no longer confined to servers and digital spaces. It is out in the mud, actively re-engineering the physical and biological world.